Interview session number 2 with James. April 5th, 2008. Copyright 2008. Wingmakers. All rights reserved. One of the things I'm curious about, and I suspect our listeners are as well, is to know more about the world religions and how they relate to wingmakers, if they do at all.
Anytime we speak about world religions, I'm not sure how to respond because I don't want to insult anyone, nor do I wish to make comparisons that are subjectively unfair, which leaves little room for statements of any kind. All I will say is that people can find their higher selves and activate their higher connections to Spirit and God through most of the religious and spiritual movements on earth. There is no monopoly on the access points to Spirit. And to the degree they don't feel, meaning the people, they don't feel this higher connection is emerging from their study, then they're probably better served to try something new, trusting that their higher self will guide them to that which resonates with their innate feeling of the truth. If you go do an orchestral performance, at the beginning the musicians are tuning their instruments, trying to find harmony. In a similar way, we are made by the same creator, but our instruments are in different tuning codes, and we're trying to find the point of harmonization. We're all tuned differently through our experience, genetic predispositions, education, and yes, I suppose religion and cultural conditioning play a decisive role as well. World religions compete more than they seek to harmonize, and as I've said before, the key is activation of the connection between the ego personality, the higher self, and the animating spirit that flows between them. Once this activation occurs, what religion you are is quite academic, much the same way it doesn't matter what your citizenship is when you visit outer space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Interesting analogy. The question I see in the subtext of the email linked to religion is the confusion that all of these different spiritual paths have on the individual as they try to, figure out which one is best for them.
Yes, I understand, but seekers are yet looking outside themselves. They seek what they sense they lack within, in part because religion and culture tell them that they lack this ability and require intermediaries like priests and ministers, rabbis, or spiritual teachers to find their way. The pathways of spirit only appear confusing from the inside looking out, and this is because the materials that are strewn before the typical seeker are confusing. One path tells you you're a sinner. Another path tells there's no such thing. One path tells you to breathe this way with this posture. Another says pray in this form. One path says the end is near. Another says we're just born in the Spirit of God. It's a time of new beginnings. So can all of these things be true at the same time? It becomes equally confusing as you enter the scientific domain. Not too long ago there was magic and wonder in the world, and then Newton and others came along, and the mechanistic universe was unveiled, and magic left our culture and stood on the fringes like an orphan. And now like the prodigal son, magic has returned in the form of quantum physics. On the one hand, religion defined magic in the formulations of its leaders so as to manipulate the masses. On the other hand, science, eschewing magic, distilled our universe to the nuts and bolts of a mechanism in which our specialness as a species was just sort of like taken out of the equation. For example, we're 99% the same as an ape. We're not the center of the universe, and so forth. All of these theses or points of view, world views, influenced, and they became larger, and we became smaller, less significant. In a sense, the quantum world came to our rescue. As we became aware of just how little we know about the universe, This was an activation for the species as a whole that most people do not truly understand, because humanity was beaten down with a mechanical, uncaring universe and an invisible God. But then we discovered how we are all connected. The basic mechanics were anything but mechanical. They were magical, indeed inexplicable. But that is the world of subatomic energies, the frequencies of light and sound in which we live. I realize I got off track a bit, but the impression I want to leave is that I have great sympathy for the seeker and their confusion. It's well found.